Hi, today I'll be reviewing Cerebrolysin peptide after 3 weeks of use. Cerebrolysin peptide is a nootropic used internationally for brain repair. After 3 weeks of use, I noticed changes almost immediately in the areas of cognition, mood, and energy levels. Let's talk about some of the pros of using Cerebrolysin. One very noticeable benefit of using Cerebrolysin was improved cognitive function. It improved memory recall, short-term memory, and working memory. I noticed that there was an enhanced ability to stay mentally present during reading, conversations, or deep work. There was improvement in smoother verbal fluency and processing speed. I feel that I have been more articulate, being able to find the correct words, and maintaining better flow in conversation. One of my favorite benefits that I noticed was that I had reduced anxiety and I was more sociable. I think this is a great peptide for somebody with anxiety, generalized anxiety, or similar conditions. I generally have been more social without forcing it. I feel I have been more extroverted and conversational with people, which is huge for me since I'm more introverted. And again, that was something that was not forced. It was just something that occurred naturally as I've been using this peptide. Another benefit has been elevated mood and more motivation. I do feel more driven. I feel I have some reduced procrastination and a clearer sense of purpose. Maybe that also goes, with the other benefit of reduced anxiety. With reduced anxiety, maybe, it also helps to have less procrastination because you don't have as much of that, doubting holding you back. It also does seem to have a mild antidepressant effect. I feel I have tended to be more positive, less pessimistic, even with the same circumstances. Let's talk about the benefits of recovery and repair. I do notice faster recovery from brain fog, burnout, and stress than from my baseline. Essentially, I feel like I have just quicker mental recovery while using Cerebrolysin. It does seem to help with symptoms of PMS as well. I do think that the effects of using Cerebrolysin are enhanced and improved if you're able to stay hydrated, eat enough protein throughout the day, get 8 hours of sleep, being mindful of overthinking and rumination habits. Although I wasn't expecting Cerebrolysin to help with overthinking and rumination, it really has been a huge benefit in that area as well for me. I feel it really does give you the ability to essentially, if you could say, turn off the faucet or reduce the flow of overthinking and rumination that is getting through. It does improve mental stamina. It does feel like, like I'm mentally prepared, like I'm mentally ready and focused throughout the day without a crash. That's typical from a stimulant like caffeine. My sleep has improved while on Cerebrolysin, mostly in the quality, and I feel more refreshed in the morning. I feel that the sleep benefits can be enhanced by not eating after 6 p.m. or at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. I feel that not going to bed with a full stomach or with undigested food really helps me feel more refreshed and recovered in the morning. I feel like it reduces the feelings of malaise and just that hungover feeling in the morning. A few other things I do to enhance the benefits of Cerebrolysin are taking a comprehensive multivitamin every day, doing red light therapy. If you're interested in that, check out my video on the EMR tech. Going to bed ideally before 10 p.m. Being mindful of stress and reducing it through meditation or mindful actions throughout the day. For example, going for a walk or taking some deep breaths to regulate the nervous system. I do think that it's also important to note that because you get so many benefits from using Cerebrolysin, it's important to not overexert yourself and burn the candle on both ends. Rather than extinguishing the benefits from Cerebrolysin due to overactivity, it is better to nurture those benefits by enjoying them, but not exploiting them so that you can hold on to them for longer. I do hear that the effects of Cerebrolysin can last for several months. Time will tell as to how long the benefits will last for me, and I'll probably be providing an update in the near future about that as well. Let's talk about some of the cons of using Cerebrolysin. As with anything, there are a few downsides. Although I noticed the benefits of using Cerebrolysin right away, within the first week even, and it seemed like they progressively got better into week 2, near the end of week 2 into week 3, the benefits have sort of plateaued. I haven't lost the benefits, nor have I gotten worse, nor have I seen like a dip in the benefits, but they simply just have not exponentially gotten better. Despite that, I'm very happy with the results of this first cycle of Cerebrolysin. I am on a 5 days on, 2 days off cycle. So I use it Monday through Friday, off Saturday and Sunday. And I think that does help to maintain some efficiency. Another con with Cerebrolysin is that you do have to overcome the fear of injection and injection fatigue. I was afraid of self-injection. It is intramuscularly, and I chose to inject it in my thigh. I found a video on YouTube by Nurse Scott, and I followed it probably the first 1 or 2 days that I was self-injecting, and I found that to be really helpful. I followed it like a tutorial, and I was able to self-inject without too much trouble. I did have several false starts, a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-motivation. I do find that reminding yourself of why you're doing this and what your goals are and why you're doing, why you've chosen to use Cerebrolysin really goes a long way in helping you overcome that fear of self-injection. I do inject Cerebrolysin at 6 a.m. and that can be a little hard, especially if you're running short on time in the mornings. So that's something, that you have to schedule time for and just be very dedicated, because my protocol, the protocol I was put on, is a 5 days on, 2 days off for 4 weeks. So you really want to be consistent with it and not miss any doses. So you do have to make that time in the morning to self-inject. I chose not to inject later in the day other than 6 a.m. because I did notice that one of the side effects of using it later in the day was sort of that restlessness at night when you're trying to fall asleep, but you're still very awake, very kind of wired. So I didn't want that. So I've chosen to inject as early as I can in the day. And that does seem to reduce that issue where it sort of starts to disturb sleep at night. Let's talk about some of the possible side effects of using Cerebrolysin. Some of the possible side effects of using Cerebrolysin include headache, sweating, lightheadedness, dizziness, nausea, occasional restlessness or overstimulation, especially when combined with stimulants or poor sleep. I would definitely agree with that list of side effects. Out of those side effects, I did experience a few on day 1 of the injection, which I injected a little bit later in the day. I did experience some dizziness, a little bit of nausea, and definitely some restlessness. After the first day, I do feel that my body adjusted to the peptide. I don't think I've experienced any of those symptoms in the last 2 weeks at all. If anything, the symptom that has lingered is that mild restlessness at night. But despite that, I would definitely do another cycle of Cerebrolysin again. It has helped hugely with headaches, oxidative stress, brain fog. And I think that symptom of restlessness at night can really be overcome if you have a good sleep hygiene routine, if you're limiting blue light, if you're not doing anything overly stimulating like watching television or on your phone or learning something new or trying to process a lot of information. Quieting the mind and doing some meditation right before bed can also help a lot with that. I haven't noticed any bruising at the injection sites. They're a little bit sore the next day, but I rotate around from the left thigh to the right thigh and just find a spot where I haven't injected and it's not sore. The last con of Cerebrolysin is that it is a bit costly. Mine was prescribed through a doctor and it came from cerebrolysin.com. This was the packaging that it came in. You can check out that website for more information and more of the science of how Cerebrolysin actually works in the brain. Based on my experience, let's talk about who might be a great candidate for Cerebrolysin. I think it'd be great for somebody recovering from neurological issues, TBI, post-COVID brain fog, anxiety, social anxiety, or conditions similar to that. I think it's great for biohackers or for professionals who are looking for a temporary edge in focus and memory and creativity, people looking for a mild antidepressant effect, and for people with headache or migraine disorders. Obviously, please consult your doctor, as I am not a medical professional and this is not to be considered medical advice. This is simply just my experience after using Cerebrolysin. For me, the pros of using Cerebrolysin definitely outweigh the cons, especially if you're disciplined with the injections, you're taking into account healthy lifestyle factors that I've mentioned before, and you're realistic about what Cerebrolysin does and doesn't do. Cerebrolysin also works well solo and in a stack. From my experience, it works really well combining it with multivitamins, B vitamins, magnesium, red light therapy, PMF. Some of the other lifestyle factors that I'll mention that I think would enhance the benefits of using Cerebrolysin are, for example, reducing the amount of processed food that you're eating, reducing any smoking or drinking, ideally zero, but at minimum reducing it, managing stress, blocking unnecessary blue light at night, and even during the day if you're on the computer a lot, and by having a community or building a community that is loving and caring. If you found this content valuable, please take the time to subscribe and leave a comment below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.